Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Canada is known for its diverse culture, high standard of living, and friendly people. It's no wonder that many people from all over the world, including Pakistan, are interested in immigrating to Canada. But how do you go about doing that? In this video, we'll provide you with a step-by-step guide on how to immigrate to Canada from Pakistan. Canada is a popular destination for immigration due to its high standard of living, strong economy, and welcoming culture. If you are a Pakistani who is interested in immigrating to Canada, it's important to know the eligibility criteria that you need to meet. In this video, we'll provide you with a complete guide on the eligibility criteria for Canada immigration for Pakistanis. The first step in determining your eligibility for Canada immigration is to take an online eligibility assessment. This assessment will evaluate your age, education, language proficiency, work experience, and other factors to determine whether you meet the eligibility criteria for one of Canada's immigration programs. There are several immigration programs that you may be eligible for as a Pakistani, including the Federal Skilled Worker Program, the Federal Skilled Trades Program, the Canadian Experience Class, and the Provincial Nominee Program. The Federal Skilled Worker Program is for skilled workers with at least 1 year of work experience in a high-demand occupation in Canada. The Federal Skilled Trades Program is for workers in specific skilled trades who want to become permanent residents of Canada. The Canadian Experience Class is for individuals with at least 1 year of skilled work experience in Canada, and the Provincial Nominee Program is for individuals who have been nominated by a Canadian province or territory for immigration. To be eligible for any of these immigration programs, you will need to meet certain minimum requirements. These include having a certain level of education, language proficiency, work experience, and proof of funds to support yourself and your family members in Canada. For example, for the Federal Skilled Worker Program, you will need to have at least a Canadian high school diploma or an equivalent foreign education credential. You will also need to prove that you have at least 1 year of full-time paid work experience in a high-demand occupation in Canada, and you will need to demonstrate proficiency in English or French. For the Federal Skilled Trades Program, you will need to have at least 2 years of full-time work experience in a skilled trade and meet the language proficiency requirements. For the Canadian Experience Class, you will need to have at least 1 year of skilled work experience in Canada and meet the language proficiency requirements. For the Provincial Nominee Program, you will need to be nominated by a Canadian province or territory and meet their specific eligibility requirements. If you are a Pakistani who is interested in immigrating to Canada, it's important to know the eligibility criteria for the various immigration programs. By understanding these criteria and ensuring that you meet them, if you meet the eligibility requirements, you can then proceed to the next step, which is to submit an expression of interest, EOI, to the Canadian government's immigration program. An EOI is a way for you to express your interest in immigrating to Canada and to provide information about your education, work experience, language proficiency, and other qualifications. Once you have completed the eligibility assessment and determined that you are eligible to apply for a Canadian visa, you will need to submit an expression of interest, EOI. There is no fee for submitting an EOI. Once you have submitted your EOI, you will be entered into a pool of candidates, and you may receive an invitation to apply, ETA, for a Canadian visa. The ETA will specify the type of visa you are eligible for and the requirements you need to meet. If you are selected from the pool of candidates, you will receive an invitation to apply, ETA, for a Canadian visa. There is no fee for receiving an ETA. If you receive an ETA, you will need to prepare and submit your application for a Canadian visa. This application will require you to provide detailed information about your personal background, work experience, education, language proficiency, and other qualifications. You will also need to undergo a medical examination and provide police clearance certificates from Pakistan and any other country where you have lived for more than 6 months. These documents will be used to determine whether you are admissible to Canada. Once your application is complete, you will need to pay the application fee and submit it to the Canadian government for processing. The processing time for a Canadian visa can vary depending on the type of visa and the volume of applications being processed. Immigrating to Canada from Pakistan is an exciting opportunity, but it can be costly. There are several fees associated with the immigration process, and it's important to understand these fees before starting the process. In this video, we'll provide you with a complete guide on the fee details for the complete immigration process from Pakistan to Canada. The first fee you will encounter in the immigration process is the fee for the online eligibility assessment. This fee varies depending on the service provider you choose, but it typically ranges from $100 to $250 CAD. Once you receive an ETA, you will need to pay the application fee for your Canadian visa. The fee for a Canadian visa varies depending on the type of visa and the number of family members who are applying with you. The fees are as follows. Permanent residence application fee, $1,325 CAD for the principal applicant, $1,325 CAD for a spouse or common law partner, and $225 CAD for each dependent child. Right of permanent residence fee, $500 CAD per person. In addition to the application fee, you will also need to pay fees for other services, such as a medical examination and police clearance certificates. The fee for a medical examination varies depending on the doctor you choose, but it typically ranges from $200 to $400 CAD. The fee for a police clearance certificate varies depending on the country, but it typically ranges from $20 to $50 CAD per certificate. If your application is approved, you will need to pay a right of permanent residence fee before you can become a permanent resident of Canada. This fee is $500 CAD per person. In addition to these fees, you will also need to pay for other expenses, such as airfare, moving costs, and living expenses in Canada. It's important to budget for these expenses before beginning the immigration process. If your application is approved, you will receive a confirmation of permanent residence, COPR, which will allow you to enter Canada as a permanent resident. You will need to present your COPR to a Canadian border official when you arrive in Canada. Once you arrive in Canada, you will need to apply for a social insurance number, SIN, which is a unique identifier that you will need to work and pay taxes in Canada. You will also need to apply for a provincial health card, which will provide you with access to healthcare services in Canada. In conclusion, immigrating to Canada from Pakistan can be a lengthy and complex process, but it's worth it for those who want to experience Canada's high standard of living, welcoming culture, and diverse opportunities. With the right qualifications and determination, it is possible for individuals from Pakistan to successfully immigrate to Canada and build a new life in this beautiful country.